Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Shove It, where we talk about love and relationship and anything and everything what's important for all of us. And if this is the first time you are tuning in, hello, my name is Irina Portnova. I'm all about manifestation. How can you manifest your best love and relationship? This is something I can help anybody here. And I am here today with my co host, Bruno Gill. Bruno, just say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Bruno. I am a self-love coach, and I help people, like develop more confidence. And yeah, develop more confidence. Obviously, targeting any fears they might have, maybe fear of public humiliation, fear of speaking up, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. Like there's so many fears, and they all kind of take a little hinder in our confidence. Um, so yeah, I kind of help drop a little bit of around that, understanding what kind of goals do you have with your confidence and see where we can get, right? But I guess
Mm-hmm.
that confidence is one of the most important things that we need in life is confidence to attack our goals and just live our life the way that we want.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I love our topic today because today we are talking about emotional labor in relationship. And what exactly is emotional labor? This is actually something that we are all running on behind the scene. This is the work that actually keep our relationship running. Something like remembering the birthdays, planning date nights, checking in after a hard day, or even being the one to manage any difficult conversations. This is actually something that is invisible because it doesn't look like physical effort, yet it's very much emotionally intense. So, for instance, when in the partnership, one partner remembers to buy the anniversary card, who is arranging the dinners, plans, and checking on how the other partner is feeling or how is their day going, while the other simply just shows up. This is exactly what we are talking about, the emotional labor, right? So we become more and more aware about it. And it's like if we talk about me and Bruno, like we always try to balance things out because I speak up my mind. He also tells me his things, right? So again, it's all about just being open, being in communication and expressing yourself to the fullest because again, this is something that's not showing up in our physical world. So a lot of times, partners might think that like they're contributing, whether financially or in any other way, but they do not see that it goes beyond that. That emotional bond is very very important, and this is something that we want to bring attention on. So people want to be cared, people want to be heard, people want to be acknowledged. This is like a very very crucial part. At least this is something that's crucial for me. Okay, Bruno, would you like to say something about this?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like when it comes to like emotional labor, um, like yeah, so like labor again, like is a word that you define work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like if listening to your partner feels like a chore, then I don't think you should be together. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because like there will be a lot of times where you're not going to listen and you won't want to listen, and if you don't want to listen, I'm one of those people that a lot of people they were like, oh, you should make the effort. I'm like, you should. If you don't want to listen, then you shouldn't listen. You should just say, you should say like, look, um, I'm not at my best right now to be listening to you. I'm really sorry. I also need some time for myself, but when I'm ready, I will listen to you. Because for example, like I don't like to be only 50% for somebody in the moment, right? Because I love the person enough to believe that the person deserves 100%. So I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh yeah, yeah, sure, let's listen, let's do whatever. But deep down, I'm not listening. I'm just sitting there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm one of those people that like, between talking to a wall or listening to or talking to somebody is not listening to me, I'd rather talk to a wall because the wall can't listen to me as well. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people that say again, you should make the effort. I'm like, no, you shouldn't make the effort. If you can't, then you can't. The end. And then when you can, you go and you can. But when you can, you do give the 100%. If you cannot give 100%, then you can't because your life doesn't revolve around that person. You were not. You weren't. You didn't get into marriage or you didn't get into a relationship for the only thing you do in that relationship is to give 100% when that person is listening. No, like there's so many other things. And if you can't, you can't. That's the end of the story. Period. In my eyes, that's the end of the story. Like, but then when you can, right? Well, then don't forget about your partner and listen to what your partner has to say, right? And then maybe your partner will do the same thing for you. But then again, like I feel like it's important that you both know how you work, understand, like when to do things, like when to say things and when to not, right? But like that comes with experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not gonna know that maybe in a month or two, right? Maybe you'll know in six, or maybe you'll know it in a year, right? But you're not gonna click your fingers and then all of a sudden know everything about your partner. And even regarding that, like you're never gonna know everything about your partner ever. Like they will look like until the day you get separated or you die, um, you're still probably gonna be discovering things about your partner, literally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that your partner is keeping things up like away from. Doesn't mean like he or she is hiding things. Sometimes they don't even remember about saying them, or it's just not suitable for the conversation or applicable or whatever, you know. But yeah, right. But then again, like if you can't give 100%, then don't wait maybe an hour or two or three or four or how long you need, then give 100%, right? If the person already has her or his problem fixed, great. You still should ask what happened, and you still should show that you care, right? If the person then doesn't want to talk about it, no problem. But if you're not at 100% to be listening and to be talking, then forget about it, right? Because you're not going to be listening, you're not going to be giving 100%, and then again, it's like it's just one of those things where it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You should be giving
Very
100%.
good. All right. And thanks so much for sharing. And I also would love to offer the tool on that part. So for us to like really see what how to make that invisible visible, it's great for the partners to sit down together and list all these emotionals and mental tasks that each one is handling. For instance, when it comes to the planning or remembering or initiating the conversations, because often when we just start naming them, it already creates the awareness and it also opens up the door for the balance. So, another thing that I wanted to address when we talk about the emotional labor is this subtle ways when one partner can end up carrying more of the load than the other. For instance, naturally, when we talk about women, women are more nurturing. And sometimes the society looks at us that we are the ones to manage the relationship. But over the time, this unevenness can create imbalance. For instance, when one partner always initiates how is everything, showing the care, right, talks or checks in when things fell off, while the other avoids those conversations, right? We literally can see there is a disbalance in that. And again, it's all about just really sitting down and starting noticing, starting writing, and involving another partner to start paying attention. Because again, it's not a woman's job to carry all these responsibility. I truly believe that when it comes to relationship, two people are contributing to that. Bruno, what do you think about it?
Um, yeah, like true. I mean, I agree. Like I think, I don't know the statistics. I'm not gonna be saying that I do because I don't, but there should be more single moms out there in the world than single dads, maybe. But the same thing that it works for a single mom, to me, it works the same way for a single dad. It's like, um, obviously you gotta be present, for the relationship you have with your kids. Obviously, the relationship, that you had, with your partner didn't work, right? Um, but then again, it's like, and I'm only touching on this because you said that, like, women usually are expected to take more of the family, right? And so I touched on single people because if you have a father who's single, right, now he's expected to take care of the family because family usually for somebody is more than your parents, it's your kids. Your kids become your whole family basically because it becomes the people that you see the most every single day, not even your parents, right? Depends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depends. Um, so it goes both ways, really. I think it goes both ways. Obviously, you know, for a man to be the main, carer of the family, it affects him differently, and he does things in a different way than a woman does, right? But I guess like almost every single man or woman says the same thing, right? It's just like I feel like a man would rather have, I guess like a single dad would rather have, like a woman, right? Who would help him, like with his daughter's first period, right? And he'd be like, oh, I wish I had like a woman in here to help me because I don't know what I'm doing, right? And if a mother needed to, like put his son in place, right? She'd say like, well, I wish I had a man in here with me, so he could help me because I'm not a man and I don't know what I'm doing, right? With a boy, right? And I saw that a lot in my mother. I saw that a lot with my mother because my mother was a single mother, right? So I guess it goes both ways, like like so. But then again, it's like for the relationship to work, for the marriage to work, right? You do have to, like, you gotta balance it, right? And I figure that, like, you gotta kind of like find a way to mix it. Like, I figure that a good way to know is what's your strengths and what your weaknesses, and how can you use them, right? Like, because you gotta know what you're strengths and what you're not gonna only have strengths and no weaknesses. You're obviously not gonna only have
Mm-hmm.
only weaknesses and no strengths. You're gonna have some strengths and you're gonna have some weaknesses, right? And I think as a husband or a wife or as a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever it is, right? You got to know that, and you got to know, look, okay, so I figure that at this time you do better, right? And I do better at this time because of X, Y, and Z, and you're better at A, B, C, and I'm better at one, two, three, or whatever, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Whatever examples obviously you want to use. Um, and so that's very important, right? Because that's going to help, right? Everybody feels understood. Everybody feels that they're being listened to, and everybody kind of really like plays along, right? The problem is when somebody's playing in the orchestra and the people around them, they're not really cooperating, or they're not really kind of like playing along. And that's the thing with marriage. Sometimes you have a wife who's playing along and the man just gives up, or the man is playing along and the woman just gives up, right? And so, as long as everybody's communicating, as long as two people are communicating with each other, I feel like as long as people are kind of understanding each other, they know their strengths and weaknesses, and they know how to deal with each other. I think nothing can go wrong because, for example, if you don't try to understand me trying to understand you is going to feel like a chore. But if you actually put in the effort to understand me, now when it comes my turn, I want to be there for you like you were there for me. I want to be even more, right? Because I want to show you also that, look, I am, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like emotional labor is only emotional labor, right? When people don't come in the right way, then they don't come in with the right intentions, right? Because again, like for example, if you show me that you don't want to listen to me and you're treating it like a chore, then I'm just gonna. I don't want to listen to you then. You know, when it comes to my turn, I don't want to be there for you as well. I don't want to do it, right? But if it's the opposite, then I want to do it, right? So I feel like emotional labor again in relationships, listening, caring, nurturing, loving, showing compassion. Yeah, I want to do that. You should do that with me. But if you don't do that with me, then I don't want to do it with you. I don't want to be together, right? So I guess it's almost like, yeah, it's almost like a mirror then. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my point.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to also offer the tool for that one. It's great to create that rotation system. For instance, when two partners have the agreement that, let's say, one week one partner is planning the date night, and on the other week another partner does it, right? So it's all about balancing again, and the responsibilities, I believe, have to be shared. And like you mentioned, Bruno, in terms of the weaknesses and strengths, right? If somebody loves to do something, let's say if one partner loves to arrange the dates, another partner
Mm.
is loving to check in, so we can actually keep something in that nature, right? So as long as people find the balance, because again, when it comes to imbalance of emotional labor, that's when that resentment and disconnection starts to build.
Mm.
For instance, when
Hmm.
one person carries more of the weight, it can feel like they are the manager of the relationship while the other partner is
Mm.
just the passenger. And that kind of
Yeah.
dynamic actually starts breeding that resentment and can make the relationship feel one sided, right? Because that way, one partner is going to think, why do I always have to be the one who notices when something is wrong? Right. So
Mm.
the idea is
Mm.
it's super, super important for people to express themselves, to talk with each other. And I'm all about the proper communication, right? With the right words,
Yeah.
without the blame. For instance, a great tool for that could be when the person say, I feel unsupported when, instead of just blaming, right? You can say, I feel unsupported when I'm always the one to start difficult conversations, because in this manner the focus is shift from accusing the partner, but just like showing what the person is experiencing, right? So I think it's all about just really being more mindful. And I love to always create the connection when, if you as a partner love something, right, that your other half is uh, showing up for you, this is something that you want to ask yourself, am I showing up the same way as my partner showing up for me? So I think it's a great way to check in with yourselves to make sure that there is always that give and take, because again, when we have that disbalance, that's what actually start creating the disconnection. Bruno, what do you say?
Absolutely. Again, like that's another example, right? So the first example I gave was like, if you don't listen to me the way that I want, I don't want to listen to you the way that you want, right? So you feel like labor, you feel like a chore, you feel like work, rather than really, rather than me actually being curious and wanting to help, right? But that's another very good example that you just gave, right? Which is so the example that you gave was obviously like I mean you kind of went on my strengths and weaknesses, but you gave another example. I forgot. You just talked about it.
When one
But
one is
anyways,
good at, let's say, when one is good with making the dates, so you can keep one person making the dates,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
the
yeah,
reservations,
yes,
and
yes, yes,
another person is good at checking in, right? Yeah, yeah, definitely, it all can be
yeah, yeah, yeah,
balanced.
yeah. So yeah, yeah. So that example is also very nice, but as well as like if you feel like you're doing everything and the relationship is one-sided, it stops like giving you that desire of keep doing it, right? Because you probably could be doing that same thing just for your own with your own life, right? If you're doing anything on your own, why would you be sharing it? Why would you be sharing your life with somebody else? You're sharing your
Mm-hmm.
life with somebody else, then you're sharing the
Correct.
responsibilities with that person, right? So I feel that if I was in those shoes, I also didn't want to. If, for example, If I was doing everything myself and Irina wasn't doing anything, I didn't want to be with Irina anymore, right? I would feel a little bit like, and I feel like Irina would do the same thing with me, of course. So again, it needs to come from both sides. If people have a problem, they should talk about it. If
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a problem, then just keep living, keep enjoying, keep winning, keep being together. That's it. But people don't have to like make it complicated. They don't have to over like many people do. I feel that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't know how to think. They know how to overthink. And although overthinking is like thinking too much, proper thinking is actually reflecting, not judging yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not self
Mm-hmm.
criticism. So yeah, if you find a way to like reflect together, just understand, like what's going on, why is things happening the way they are, how can you change them, how can you support them. It's not about like, oh, it's way more of your fault than mine, right? This is, like you both fucked up, right? And now you need to unfuck up yourselves, right? Basically, that's just what it is, and again, find a way to boost that curiosity, see what is making you feel like it's a chore and like labor and work to listen to each other, to be with each other, right? Like why do you feel tired when you're with that person? Like why do you have to force yourself to be with that person, right? And sometimes it's not because you don't love the person, it's just because you're tired. Like quite frankly, like I with me and Irina, like Irina knows this, maybe even better than I do. She knows that if I'm not like properly like fit to have a conversation, I'm not going to have a conversation. I'm going to look around. I'm going to fall asleep. I'm still not going to be at 100%. Simple, period. That's just what it is. The end of the story. But when I am fit, when I'm good, like it's perfect and right. And maybe that's the same thing with you guys. I don't know.
Yeah. So, what I wanted, thanks so much for sharing. What I wanted just to wrap up with the practical steps that every couple can take in order to balance back that communication and share the weight. Because remember, emotional labor doesn't need to be 50-50 every day, but it has to feel fair and fluid. And the clear communication is the key, it's the bridge to that balance. For instance, you can set up something like once a week check in ritual where two partners can come together and ask themselves, how is our balance? Are we sharing this fairly? Again, because once we bring it to the table, it's easy to have that conversation. Also, like we were mentioning, divide roles by strengths. If one is better at planning, let them do that, while the other one is maybe emotional checking in or have the family communication. And it's great to have some kind of shared reminders. It could come even like in the terms of, cute messages, sticky notes, or, like messages with fun emoji, whatever it is. Like we always can be creative if we would love to. So, my invitation for everybody who is tuning into this episode, just create something of your own, something that is really speaking to you, something that doesn't feel heavy, but something that feels light and fun. And you could do these weekly connection meeting. It's just something that for 15 minutes where both of the partners review what went well and what felt heavy, and how you can actually make it better going forward, right? So, in
Right.
conclusion, the emotional labor doesn't have to be invisible or feels unequal. Because when we name something, when we appreciate and sharing it intentionally, the couples can have that better relationship, better connection, and they can turn this hidden resentment into the deeper connection in their life. Anything else you want to quickly say before we wrap it up, Bruno?
Not really. I mean, I think we said pretty much everything that we wanted. At least I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
mean, again, things feel like
Right.
labor, like a chore, like work, and right. In the beginning, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't. That's why we're together now.
Mm-hmm.
So something changed. Understand what changed, and see if that's the problem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, because again, I don't know. It's like no matter how bad things are, sometimes there's still a way to going back to feel the way that you had that you had things before, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And remember that love and relationship, it's all about exploration. It's all about learning. It's all about evolving. And the more we understand ourselves, the better we can experience this kind of relationship. And if this is something that you feel is interesting, please just comment in this episode. Also share it with somebody who might be interested in this episode. But remember, it all starts with our awareness. When we are aware, we are prepared. Thank you so much, everybody, who tuning in today, and see you on the